Good afternoon, everyone. I see that we have a number of attendees that have joined for this afternoon's discussion on international schools in Singapore. So welcome to our webinar. Thank you for taking the time to join us. My name is Bronwyn. So I am based in Singapore. I've lived here for 9 years. I have 3 kids that attend international school here. I've worked in international schools in Singapore, and I've visited every international school on the island. So in terms of, I guess, my knowledge of the schooling landscape in Singapore, I would be able to convey this environment to you relatively well. Okay, so in terms of EdSG, we are international school search consultants. We are able to assist you in terms of your curriculum alignment and offer advice to families in terms of finding the best fit school. We offered tailored family support. We assist you in terms of offering a stress-free relocation and also assist you in finding the right school for your students. Our strengths are that we offer local expertise, we have feet on the ground, and we have strong relationships with the admissions managers at the schools across Singapore. We have helped, we have 10 years of experience, and we have helped over 1,000 families in terms of finding their best fit international school. We work across 12 different countries spread across Asia and the Middle East. We have 12,000 schools in our database. And we also, in terms of the service that we provide, we can save families up an average of 14.6 hours in terms of their international school search. On our customer service rating, we have 4.9 out of 5 on our Google reviews, so that just speaks to the quality of our service. Okay, our team is made up of 6 education consultants, and we have 50 years of experience between our team. Our experience covers both in the classroom, so academic and teaching experience, and we also have experience in admissions. So if we couple this experience, we're really able to assist families in understanding what is available in Singapore and assisting you in fast-tracking the school search process. Our team is also multilingual, should that be a requirement. Okay, so why families move to Singapore? So it is one of the best cities in the world to raise children. It's safe and secure. So children from the age of 6 years old onwards will catch public transport independently and move around the city, which is really unheard of anywhere else in the world. There are world-class schools for families to choose from. There's also a wide range of schools, so you can really find a school that meets your family or your child's requirements. The island has 150 nationalities represented, so that gives your family a really international experience. It's easy family living that has very efficient public transport, excellent healthcare and clean, great outdoor lifestyle, so it's really tropical and green, lots of nature reserves, beaches and parks. And in terms of travel, that is one of the reasons that many people stay in Singapore a lot longer than they initially planned, is that we have all these cities right on our doorstep. So weekend trips to Bali, Thailand, Vietnam, even Australia and Japan are very easy to arrange. So obviously Singapore is a great place to raise your family, but the international schools is one of the aspects of living in Singapore that really contributes positively to the experience. If we look at the schools that are available in Singapore, there are 2 main different types. There's the national schools and then the international schools. Now, when we refer to the national schools or the local schools, we're referring to the schools in Singapore that are run by the Ministry of Education. Now, these schools are generally set up for Singaporeans and for permanent residents of Singapore. Foreign students are able to apply to local schools through an admissions exercise called the AEIS. Now, the AEIS process is it's complicated, and it includes an assessment that students need to go through. The assessment is rigorous in terms of the English and maths requirements, and what we've seen in our experience is it has a really low success rate for foreigners to access local schools. So for that reason, many families, when they move to Singapore, consider international schools. Now, the great thing with the international schools is a wide range of different curricula and language options, and the admissions process is really simple, and students have a high success rate in terms of getting admission when applying. So this slide just provides a quick overview of the international school landscape. So there's over 100 different schools that families can choose from, with 40 different curricular pathways. It's also 40 different language options. There's quite a wide varying degree of student diversity, and there's about 500 different sports, music, and art programs to choose from. So I'm sure you agree, on an island which is about 40 kilometers wide, there is a lot on offer for families to choose from. Also, the schools in Singapore, it's slightly different from schools in the UK in that you are not zoned for a specific school. So you can live anywhere on the island and you can choose to go to any school. So that also gives families a lot of freedom in terms of choosing a school that you believe will be a good fit for your family. Okay, if we look at the different curricular options, so these are the academic programs that are run within the international schools, there's two main types. There are schools that run international curricula, and these schools run programs such as IB or the IPC. So these are really teaching the students from a global perspective and not focusing on a specific national program. And then on the other side, we have the national program. So this is schools such as British schools, American schools, German, French, Australian. So these schools implement other national programs other than Singapore into the schools in Singapore. So this is one of the main choices that families from the UK would generally face. It would be like, would you look for an international program or would you look at a UK program? Okay, so I have my colleague Lauren on the line. So she is from the classroom. So she'll be running through the curriculum comparisons between the UK program, the international baccalaureate, and the American program.
Hi guys. So as Bronwyn said, the three main curriculums that expat families are exploring when they move to Singapore, particularly when they come from the UK, are the UK British National Curriculum, International Baccalaureate, and the US American Curriculum. Many of our families that move in from the UK are naturally most familiar with the UK British National Curriculum, myself included. Many of the state schools and the private schools in the UK will work with the UK National British Curriculum. And there are actually very few percentage-wise IB offerings or American offerings in the UK. And so many come in, first of all, probably looking for something that they know. And what we try to highlight is that, along with all of the other rich elements of a move, one of the best things about moving into an international education environment is that perhaps now it gives your child an opportunity to explore a curriculum that may not have been on their radar before or not on your radar before. So here are some of the key differences and curriculum comparisons in front of you here. If we look at them comparatively, the UK and the American curriculum are fairly similar in the sense that they are both knowledge-based curriculums. So fairly traditional in their approach of teaching and learning, and they are knowledge-based at their core. So the very kind of traditional ways of learning, you go into the classroom, you are taught something new, a new curriculum area, and then you rehearse maybe that new understanding. You might apply it. It goes into your long-term memory so you can retain it, and then you recall it in an exam type situation usually. The International Baccalaureate, as it's on its own, is not actually a curriculum. And when we talk about curriculum, we mean sequence of learning, so the order in which you learn something. The International Baccalaureate is actually rather a philosophy of teaching and learning, so kind of a different approach or a pedagogy of teaching and learning. Often it's underpinned by usually actually a British curriculum. So when we're making that transition for UK families, it's still an easy transition really, because the sequence of the learning is the same as the UK. It's just the way that it's executed that's slightly different. So they'll still use the knowledge-based curriculum of the UK, and then it's executed in often more of a project-based learning way. So the slogan of International Baccalaureate is that children are taught how to learn rather than just what to learn. So they take the knowledge-based curriculum of what to learn, but then on top of that, they're also learning skills. We call them higher order thinking skills. So things like analytical thinking, how to think critically, how to work collaboratively, how to communicate, how to articulate in a public speaking situation. So all of those skills that we once upon a time called soft skills, we now realize that they're the skills that AI can't take over. And that's why we're seeing on a global stage of education, actually, an increase of demand in International Baccalaureate, because students are coming away from International Baccalaureate education armed with skills that AI can't take over. So they are better prepared for a world that they're going into, which is obviously going to be AI driven. So those are some of the key differences, and down the left here, you'll see the differences in philosophies and approach. But the main ones are that UK and American are still very knowledge-based. The UK does go a bit deeper. So UK and American curriculum are as broad as each other. They learn the same subjects. But the UK curriculum does tend to go a little bit deeper and is arguably a bit more academically rigorous and structured. The IB curriculum, the IB approach will still go that deep. It's still that academically rigorous, but then you're layering on top another layer of skills-based approach for your children. So a very popular approach. The feedback that we get back from universities much later on is that students are much more prepared for university study because they've learned how to learn and they're independent learners.
Thank you,
Okay.
Lauren. And I must apologize. I started in a little bit of a rush. I also didn't introduce Irene. She is also on the call and she's assisting in terms of answering any questions in the Q&A, which you might have while we're speaking. Okay, and just the third thing the last thing to consider, if we look at the the annual fees, if we compare the different programs, you'll see that and this is generalizing. So if we look at the UK programs in Singapore, you can find from a tuition point, you're looking between 20 and 45,000. And generally, we're finding that the IB or the American programs are in a higher range from a tuition perspective. So that's also something to bear in mind. So sometimes when families move from the UK into international environments, such as Singapore, and applications are submitted to schools, families can sometimes be surprised that the grade level or the year level is slightly different. Just be aware that the UK programs run until year 13. If we look at IB or US programs, they run until grade 12. So for instance, if you have a child in the UK who is studying grade 4, and if, let's say, for instance, you consider one of the international programs in Singapore, they will place that child into grade 3. It doesn't mean that the child is moving back in a grade. It's equivalent. The grades will only go up to 12 and the year will go up to 13. So it can be a little bit confusing, but that's just something to bear in mind. This slide looks at the different language programs available in the international schools. So 95% of the international schools in Singapore run a first language English program. So that is the main language of instruction. We do have a few other schools that run programs that where the first language is French, German, Korean, and Japanese, but the vast majority is in English. So coming from the UK, you actually have quite a wide range of different schools to choose from. Second languages, there really is a rich selection. Mandarin or Chinese is the most popular second language that the schools offer, but they also do offer a range of additional languages should students want to study something else. And what's also quite popular for families is the extensive bilingual programs that we have available. So some of the bilingual programs would be in English and Mandarin, but we also have English French and English German. Now, some of the bilingual programs are really comprehensive in that 50% of the child's time at school would be in English and 50% in Mandarin. So it really pushes these children to learn in both languages. And then we have kids coming out of like completing primary school that are fully bilingual in both languages. So if you are bringing children over when they are younger, then that is also something to consider. Student diversity is another consideration you might want to think about when choosing a school. So it can range the student diversity. So if generally what we find, if you look at a school that has adopted an international program, you would find a higher degree of teacher and student diversity than if you look for a school that has got a national curriculum. So that's also, I guess, you'd probably want to ask yourself, do you want to find a school that is pretty much like home, so from a continuity point of view, or would you prefer to have a school that's going to give you maybe a little bit more of a mixed, diverse students and teaching body? International schools in Singapore have got great learning support or pastoral care programs. What we do find with these programs is there is a higher demand than there are available seats in these programs. So if you have a child where there is a special education need identified, we actually would encourage you to consider submitting an application sooner rather than later. And that's just because of the high demand we're seeing for these seats and the limited seats available. So this is a testament to the quality of the international schools available in Singapore. So this is if we look at the IB averages. So the majority of international schools in Singapore run the IB diploma. So if we look at the worldwide average, at the end of June 2025, it was sitting at 67%, and it's in Singapore, it's 80%. So I think that obviously those results, it's not the only way that we measure school, but it definitely does reflect the quality of the teachers and the programs that are run in this on the island. The school fees in Singapore are expensive. So I think actually probably one of the most expensive fees that you will find internationally. If we look at the average, this slide refers to an 8-year-old student, and it includes the upfront fees and it excludes the GST. So GST is 9% in Singapore. So any fees that you see quoted on any school websites, just be sure to check. They generally don't include the GST, so it's 9% on top of the quoted prices. So the fees range between 20,000 and 50,000 Sing dollars. So families might often ask, what is the difference between going with a school that's 20,000 versus 50,000? There are quite a wide range of differences, and we'd be happy to go through all of this when we when we run the education consultation with your family. Okay, so the international schools in Singapore are relatively flexible when it comes to application timelines. There are a couple of schools that have got set application deadlines, but in general, we find that the schools are willing to receive applications throughout the year. If once an application is submitted, we're looking at about 3 weeks until we get an answer from the school. So I guess the flexible admissions guidelines is also helpful for families moving here for work purposes that don't always match an academic calendar. If you are ready to submit an application to schools, it's important that you have your paperwork in order, because the application will not be processed until the paperwork is submitted. So this is the paperwork, which is like a minimum. So it's 2 years of school reports, birth certificates, and the passports. Most of the applications will ask for a visa. However, that is not required until the day before the kids start school. So they will ask for that, but it's not necessary. And actually, we would encourage families to submit the application well before the visa, because the sooner you submit the application, the higher the likelihood of you getting into your school of choice. So this is a map of Singapore, and it outlines the international schools. So you can see that they are spread across the island. Like I said earlier, every school most of the schools have an island-wide bus service. So that does give families flexibility in terms of where you want to live. So you can, your house can be relatively far away from the school, but just bear in mind, the further the distance between your house and school, the longer your child will be sitting on the bus. So in general, if families are relocating, we would say let's find the school first, get the offer from the schools and the place confirmed, and then there are always residential areas and then that I would say that it would be easier to make the housing choice after you found the school. These are new schools which have opened. So Perth is 12 months old. Wickham Abbey is obviously based on the school in the UK. They will be opening up in Singapore in 2028. And RD American School is also in the process of opening. So there's always a lot of change with the schools in Singapore. So new ones coming. Sometimes schools open like a new campus and that kind of thing. So we would always be up to date on that and be able to advise you on the best options available. So this is just an overview of some of the benefits of studying in Singapore. So outstanding academic results, a rich selection of curricula, so you can really choose a curricula that meets your child's learning styles. Your child has the language programs are really woven into the program. So the children generally study their second language every day, which is quite different from a lot of national programs. So that really gives your child the opportunity to learn a second language. A diverse student population. So we've in some classrooms that have 24 students, there might be 15 countries represented. So that really contributes to the international experience. Like we said, lots of sports, music, and art programs, and international travel is also woven into the learning program at the majority of the international schools. Okay, so our school search service, we basically take all the complicated, confusing issues about finding an international school and simplify it for the families that we work with.
We know how daunting it is trying to find a school for your children in a new city. You've got to consider the various locations, which school has the best reputation, which school meets your budgetary constraints. Then, of course, there's the curricula offered, language options, sports, music. Long-range education planning also needs to be considered. Do you have a plan of when your eventual repatriation will be? Do you have any university aspirations for your children? And so with that in mind, we founded EdSG in 2019. We're a personalized school search service that helps families moving into Singapore, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai find the perfect school for their children. We have a team of expert consultants, an extensive database of international schools, and a thorough knowledge of the educational landscape. So how does the process work? After meeting with you in a personal online consultation, we'll carefully consider your family's unique educational requirements and recommend a shortlist of relevant schools. This will include seat availability indicators and a comprehensive comparison of program, pricing, and location, ensuring you clearly understand each school's offerings and are poised to make an informed choice. Lastly, we arrange physical and virtual school visits according to your schedule. And this basic package is a complimentary service to families moving to Singapore, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. We'll be happy to answer any further questions you have. Click on the link, fill out your details, and a member of our team will be with you shortly.
So that is, Krista just provided us with a quick overview of our service. So this slide will just break it down further. What we would recommend if you are considering moving to Singapore, that you book a consultation with our team. The benefit of the consultation is we will do a comprehensive needs analysis of what you are looking for in terms of your family's requirements upon moving into Singapore. We will also provide you with an overview of like the lay of the land in Singapore, what is available to you. And then we would assist in putting together a short list of relevant schools that will meet your family's requirements. We would include seat availability. So that is really important because you don't want to be submitting applications to schools where there is no availability, especially if your move is coming up relatively shortly. We would also give you detailed curriculum comparison, like pricing and location, and we'll assist in arranging your school visits. So if you are coming into Singapore, we'll schedule the visits according to your schedule. Alternatively, if you are not in the country, we can also arrange virtual visits. So I know ideally it is better to see the school, but sometimes that is not permitted, or families don't have the time for that. So then virtual tours are really helpful. And then after that, we will assist you in terms of providing application guidance. So there are certain things that can be done to try and expedite the application process. So we'll assist you in those areas. So here is a video on one of the international schools in Singapore. Just it's basically an example of what is available. So, so our team, we have got a library of all the virtual visits across all the schools in Singapore. So once we've run the consultation with you and we have a good idea of what schools will suit your family's requirements, we will then send you the relevant short clips, which will give you an idea of the campus facility related to your family's requirements. Our team also has a blog available, so where we've written a lot of articles about moving into the country and international schools and settling in, so you're very welcome to use those resources. And then this is just one of our many reviews online. You're also welcome to take a look at that. We are on 4.9 out of 5 in terms of our Google reviews, so I think that speaks to the quality of our service. Okay, so that is an overview of schooling in Singapore. There is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, so if you do have any questions, you're very welcome to pop the questions in there, and we're happy to answer them. So we'll just give you a couple of minutes if you do. So Marosa's asking if it's easy to transfer between different curricula at a later stage. I don't know, Lauren, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so what we do say is the IB approach actually is probably most suitable for this. And the reason is that, going back to what we were talking about earlier, is that because students have been really well armed with those higher order thinking skills, if you move into the IB curriculum and then maybe you move back to your home country later on, they've got all of those transferable skills that they can then apply to any curriculum, because they've already learned how to become an independent learner. And if we remember that the IB curriculums, the IB approach is largely underpinned by the UK curriculum anyway. So the sequence of learning is such that there won't be any gaps in their learning coming from the UK curriculum in the UK. They're just going to have almost an enhanced version of that, because they'll have the IB skill set added on top and woven in. And then if you were, say, to move back to the UK, then they're only going back to the UK curriculum. So the sequence of learning is the same, but they're just going back as an upskilled version, really, of a UK student. Does that help?
Thank you. And then Vicky has asked, how early should families start the school search process in Singapore? So some schools in Singapore will receive applications up to 3 years before your child starts at the school. So I guess that's the earliest, but in general, I think the majority of families moving into Singapore are moving here for employment purposes. So we would say 6 months would be what we see in general. But the earlier you submit the application, the more choice you have in terms of the school that you decide to go ahead with. Okay. I think that is all the questions. So after today's call, we will send you a recording of the presentation, so you'll be able to review back on it. And also, for all our webinar attendees, we're offering a complimentary education consultation. So we will send you a link should you like to perhaps discuss the enrollment of your child into international schools in Singapore with one of our team members. The complimentary consultation can be booked online. So we would really encourage you to take advantage of that. Okay, so thank you very much. I really appreciate your time to join the call. Please, you'll have our contact information. Do reach out if you have any other questions.
Thanks, guys. Bye.